Hi everyone, and welcome to Mackey Arena. So nice to have you with us on a Sunday morning. I'm Rob Blackman, this is Chris Forman, and it is our job over the next few minutes to get you all set for today's Big Ten matchup between our Boilermakers and the Northwestern Wildcats. Lots to talk about in just a few minutes, so we'll do our best to keep it brief, but still give you the information you need. By the way, before our time here on the camera is done, we're going to be joined by Tanner Lipsett. Tanner is with Purdue's men's wrestling program. He's actually not only a part of the strategic communications department with concerning all things Boilermaker wrestling, but he's also the supervisor of operations for men's wrestling. The reason is today it's our hoops and headlocks event here at Mackey Arena. We'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. All right, Chris, let's talk Purdue basketball first. Our Boilermakers coming off the Thursday night 3-point loss in Indiana against our rivals, the Hoosiers. A game in which, if you go back and try to break it down frame by frame, first half turnovers and poor foul shooting really did in our Boilers.
Yeah, Purdue started great. We were up 16-8 about 10 minutes in, and then all of a sudden the turnovers came. Indiana really ramped up the pressure. The crowd got into it. And you can see us just kind of not handle the pressure very well. We got it to 9 at halftime. Started the second half great, only had 2 second half turnovers, but then the free throw shooting really did end the Boilermakers.
10 first half turnovers. As Chris said, only 2 in the second half, so no surprise Purdue was able to get back into the game. Actually took the lead, did the Boilermakers at basically the 1 minute mark. Boilermakers did take a lead, a 1-point lead briefly, before Indiana would hit a deep three from the right wing, which ultimately would seal the Boilermaker fate. All right, so with that,
We don't need to talk about that.
No, we're done. I did want to mention this, though. Purdue has lost 3 games all year. 3 games, not bad. When you're 15-3, that's not all bad. But in 2 of the 3 losses, the 2 on the road, the opponent, they've stormed the court. So all bad thing, if you're Purdue, that tells you the respect the opposition has for you. Because when Purdue loses on the road, the opposing team is doing a court storming.
Well, you look at the 3 losses, too. Against Rutgers, they hit a half-court shot to beat them. Against Wisconsin here in Mackey, guy goes for a career night. Obviously a great player, but, career night for him. Everyone else didn't do anything. And then against Indiana, Rob Finney has a career night against his hometown team. He was a little extra motivated, had never beaten the Boilermakers. He wanted to go out on a win. So, the 3 losses, you can definitely look back and say, what if? And that's it. So, hopefully we can bounce back today.
Thought you said we weren't going to talk about that anymore.
I'm done.
All right, so let's talk about Northwestern. Look, fans, if you're just looking at the overall record, 9-7, 2-5 in the Big Ten, you're thinking, typical Northwestern, right? They might be playing as well as anyone in the Big Ten right now, quite frankly. Last weekend, they beat Michigan State at the Breslin Center. It's Michigan State's only Big Ten home loss this year. And then, actually, it's their only loss all season to this point in the Big Ten. Then, this past Tuesday, they took Wisconsin to the wire. It was a 1-possession game with less than a minute to go. Wisconsin did ultimately win. But those are the last 2 games for Northwestern. Wildcats playing well right now.
Yeah, and you look at a couple of their other results. They lost by 5 at home to Michigan State before beating them at the Breslin Center. Then they lost by 8 at Ohio State. They scored 87 points against them, 95-87. So Northwestern's extremely talented. Their offense is maybe about as good as anyone in the Big Ten. It's really clicking right now.
They average 77 points a game offensively. They shoot it well, 44% as a team, 35% from 3, and they're a very good free throw shooting team as well at 74%. Then the other thing, Chris, they only turn it over 9 times a game. They do a great job taking care of the ball.
Right. They lead the country in assist-to-turnover ratio. I think they're 3rd or 4th in turnovers per game. So you really have to force some pressure against them and get some turnovers and get out in the open court against them.
Northwestern has not won at Mackey Arena since 2014. And for the Wildcats, by the way, I mentioned Michigan State, then Wisconsin, now Purdue. With Purdue ranked 4th in the country, that means Northwestern is playing 3 straight top 10 teams. Think about that. 3 straight top 10 teams in a row. I know, welcome to the Big Ten. But certainly they have proven they're up to the task in their first 2 opportunities against the top 10 team. So we'll see what they do here today against Purdue.
Well, sorry, Rob, you look after our game, they go to Michigan, and then they have Illinois at home. So, this 5-game stretch for them will kind of determine their season.
Big Ten basketball at its best. What about for our Boilermakers? You talk about defining seasons, and look, I know we're just beginning the last full week of January, so there is still a lot of basketball to go. But if you're Purdue, Chris, you think about where the Boilermakers have been, and I mean that literally, where they've been. A lot of road games here front-loaded for Purdue in this part of the schedule. Obviously at Penn State, then at Illinois. Should have gone to Michigan, but that game got postponed. Had the home game with Nebraska, home at Indiana, on the road at Indiana. Finally back home for the Boilermakers. With the fact that Purdue's already lost one home game this year in Big Ten play, that makes this game at home and all the rest of the home games so much more important.
Yeah, this is a huge game for Purdue to stay in the Big Ten hunt. You can't go 4-4 in league play when your leader's at 7-1. That's 3 games behind. You have to protect home court, and this is just a giant game for Purdue, really.
And by the way, that loss at home, not really an outlier for Purdue. If you look at the top half of the Big Ten, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Illinois, Purdue, they've all lost a home game already in Big Ten play. Ohio State's the only team right now lurking near the top of the standings that hasn't lost a Big Ten home game. More on our Boilermakers. I know for those of you that have been sitting through this broadcast, you've been waiting for the $64 million question. So here it is. Jaden Ivey, do we think we'll see him play today? He has not practiced the last 2 days because of injury.
It's a game-time decision. He's so competitive that yesterday I mentioned to the trainer, I was like, do you see him playing? Yesterday he said, I don't. Asked me tomorrow, he said, I do. So, don't really know. His competitive juices get going, his adrenaline will get going. We'll see if he's out here today.
Jaden, by the way, against Indiana Thursday night, with this same injury, by the way. This injury occurred before the Indiana game. Had 21 points against the Hoosiers. Now, he hasn't practiced the last 2 days, trying to recover from the injury. As Chris said, it is a game-time decision. Coach Matt Painter will verify that for you. Matter of fact, I talked to Coach about an hour ago, and he said the same thing. It's going to leave it up to Jaden. If he feels like he can play, then he'll be out here today. If he feels like he can't give it a go, he won't. It's as simple as that. So there's your answer, I should say, to the big question about Jaden Ivey.
And on that note, at Indiana, he spent the entire shoot-around basically stretching. It's a hip flexor injury. He spent his entire shoot-around basically stretching, trying to get it loose, trying to get it stretched out. So we'll see if he goes today.
Whether or not the Boilermakers have the services of their best player, Jaden Ivey, we know this. In Big Ten play, one could make the argument Mason Gillis has been Purdue's best player. Coming off the 13-point, 7-rebound performance against Indiana Thursday. I looked up the numbers here on Mason before this little broadcast, Chris. Gillis in Big Ten play is shooting 65% from the three-point line.
Wow. I didn't even realize that. That's impressive. I know he's about 60% from the field for the season, over 55 from 3, and over 95 from the free throw line. He's had just an absolutely outstanding season. He's kind of a glue player. He brings everything he can to the table. I expect a big game from him guarding Pete Nance as well.
Yeah. Now, you know what I also expect? I think Travion Williams is due to have a big game. Travion played okay, not great at Illinois. He'd be the first to admit Travion did not have a very good game against Indiana. Again, Travion will be the first to admit this. He's the type of guy that he normally doesn't have 3 bad games in a row. I think Travion will be on point today.
No, I think Travion will be quite motivated from the last 2 games. The game before against Nebraska, he played outstanding, so I expect him to bounce back. It's just a little slump that he's in. I expect a big game from him against Northwestern's big guys.
If you're watching this game today and you're looking for a key, whether it's a matchup or maybe a key statistic for Purdue, how about this one? Compliments of my partner here, Chris Forman. The magic number for Purdue is 70. 70. The reason?
When Purdue scores 70 points, we're undefeated. 15-0. When we scored under 70, we're 0-3. Rutgers, we scored 68. Wisconsin, 69. Indiana, 65. Lost all 3 of those games.
So there you go. Impress your friends with a text here in the next few minutes. That 70 is the magic number for our Boilermakers this year. One other final note I want to talk about here before we talk Purdue wrestling. And again, compliments to my partner here, Chris Forman. I did not realize this until I saw it in the Purdue game notes a couple of games ago. If you go back to February of last year, there are only 2 teams, 2, in the entire country in Division I basketball that have not lost a game by double figures, right?
Yep.
Purdue and
Loyola, but Loyola lost by 10 yesterday to Missouri State, so there's only one team now since last February that hasn't lost by double figures. It shows to me that in Purdue's losses, we are right there. It's a shit 1 or 2, 3 plays here or there. Purdue wins the game.
So you can impress your friends with that one too, if you have time to fit that on a text. All right, we're going to welcome in Chris Collinsworth style, Tanner Lipsett. He's going to do the slide in the way Chris Collinsworth does on Monday Night Football. He just kind of eases his way in.
What's happening, fellas?
Now, the nice thing about Tanner is, like Chris and I, he has a face made for radio. So the fact that we get to put him here on television, well, he's pretty excited about that, as are we.
He's also really accustomed to this. They do a podcast every week that's like 40 minutes. He's on camera all the time. He's used to it.
It's relative, but, it's not this kind of audience, but it's a passionate fan base.
Yes.
Tanner is the supervisor of operations, also works in the strategic communications end of things for Purdue's wrestling team. The Boilermakers are already off to a great start this weekend, Tanner, having beaten Illinois earlier in the weekend.
Yeah, really nice night on Friday. We bounced back from a tough loss on criteria to Michigan State last week. But took care of business on Friday against Illinois. They just bumped out of the top 25, but they're right there with everybody else. And 6 wins. The guys came out ready to go.
Now our Boilermakers are currently ranked in the top 20, but today's opponent on the mat, Wisconsin, they're ranked in the top 10, right?
Yes, they are. They came into the week at number 8. They did take their first loss of the season on Friday against Nebraska, who we were able to upset earlier in the season. But make no mistake, Wisconsin's a great team.
All right, so the reason we're talking wrestling, you probably should know this by now, but in case you don't, today is hoops and headlocks here at Mackey Arena. Purdue basketball, 1 o'clock tip-off against Northwestern, and then at 4 o'clock, Purdue wrestling takes to the floor / the mat here at Mackey Arena to do battle with Wisconsin. First of all, hopefully you know this answer. I should have prepped you before. Who came up with this idea? Because it's such an awesome idea. We're already here anyway, so let's do some wrestling after basketball.
Well, I'm going to try not to pull any muscles, pat myself on the back here, Rob. But this was the brainchild of myself and Bailey Slofield. Works in our marketing promotions department. She and I were sitting around this past summer, thinking of some ideas, and this was the child of that conversation. So we had to jump through a lot of hoops. We had to figure out kind of the logistics of how it would work. We had to work with the Big Ten Conference to get us to put a Big Ten men's basketball game and a wrestling match on the same day in the same place. The network had to get involved. The network's going to air both events. So there was no shortage of things we had to make happen to get it here. But we had a lot of people involved. Chris helped me out as far as some of the planning and some of maybe the hurdles we had to jump through as far as you got to worry about this and you got to worry about that. And so, but it all lined up, and we're really hoping for a great day.
Well, I'll say we encourage all the basketball fans, obviously, to stay for the game. If you're watching this, stay for the game, stay for the wrestling match, because you saw what a difference last week when the women basketball played Indiana.
Yeah,
we really encouraged. The paint crew was here for that. Had 10, 11,000 fans here. It made a huge difference. So I'm sure you're hoping for the same kind of thing.
I really am. We wrestle in Holloway most of the time. Seats about 2,000 people when it's full. We get anywhere upwards of 5,000, 10,000 people in here to stick around. This place is going to be rocking.
Now, if you're at home, you're watching this, you're like, I don't have a ticket for the basketball game, but I live close. I could be there by 4 o'clock. Free admission, right?
Free admission, yeah. That's why this works. After the basketball game's over, they're going to open the doors up to Mackey, and it's general seating. You go wherever you can, where you can find a place to put your butt. And they're going to do some concession specials. There can be some $5 beers. There can be some free popcorn. I mean,
that's where you had me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beer and wrestling, on a Sunday afternoon. What else are we going to do?
Absolutely.
All right, so for the fans, if they can't make it here today, we hope you can. And they're watching it later on BTN. Who are some of the matches you're really looking forward to?
I tell you what, there's no shortage of good matchups in this one. I don't know what weight we're going to start at, but we'll start at the bottom, 125 pounds. You got Devin Schroeder for Purdue, senior, ranked as high as 9th in the country. Eric Barnett for Wisconsin, ranked as high as 4th in the country. Top 10 matchup. The guys have gone back and forth. They both beat each other in the past. There's a lot of history there. It should be a great matchup to hopefully we open up the duel there.
Yeah.
That should be a really good one. Another couple cool matchups. 174 pounds, Garrett Ninehouse for Purdue. Andrew McNally for Kent State. Transfer from Kent State to Wisconsin. Pardon the hiccup. 197 pounds. Thomas Panola for Purdue. Braxton Amos, stud freshman for Wisconsin. Should be another great one. But I mean, I could keep going on and on and on. They're all going to be really good matchups.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there. I know that on camera it puts on a few extra pounds, but right now I'm weighing in at about 185. Who would I be wrestling from the Boilermaker side of things if I jumped out on that mat this afternoon at 185?
You'd have to shave 8 pounds. We'd probably bleed some water out you, get a little sweat going, run you around a little bit. And you'd have Max Lyon, a senior from Iowa. He's a 184-pounder.
Think I could take him?
I don't.
I'm buying a ticket for this.
I don't. I don't know. I would bring lots of towels to mop up the blood, Rob. That's what I would do.
That's all I need to know. All right, so the match is off, fans. I'm not going to try it. I was thinking about it. I'm not going to do it now. Tanner, thank you, and good luck at 4 o'clock today.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
For Tanner Lipsett, for Chris Forman, I'm Rob Blackman. Purdue basketball at 1. If you're listening to the radio broadcast, thank you for that. Our pregame show begins at noon on the radio network with myself and Bobby Riddell. And then at 4 o'clock, we go from hoops to headlocks. Purdue wrestling hosting Wisconsin, also right here at Mackey Arena. We hope to see you not for just one, but 2 events today here at Mackey. Thanks, everyone. Have a great Sunday.